It's another dramatic week in Emmerdale, as Charity risks everything to protect Sarah. Dawn makes a potentially deadly decision, and Ruby and Caleb's scheming leaves Jimmy in serious trouble. So, here's everything you need to know about what's happening in the village next week. In spoiler number 1, Charity is still determined to take the blame for Dr. Todd's murder, protecting the real culprit, Sarah. Charity meets up with her co-conspirator Serena to discuss their cover-up, but there could already be trouble ahead when their conversation is interrupted by a suspicious D.S. Ramsden. And in spoiler number 2, while Charity is determined to stick to her false confession, Sarah is struggling with the guilt of what they're doing. Jacob can see how distressed she is and promises to stop asking questions about Todd. Sarah is relieved, but she's also feeling increasingly guilty about deceiving her husband. So, how long can Charity and Sarah keep the truth hidden? In spoiler number 3, Dawn and Billy are preparing to make their escape. Joe is getting ready for his stag do, completely unaware that his bride-to-be is planning to do a runner with Billy. The pair have fake passports and even tell Clemmy that they're going on holiday. But their plans are interrupted when Graham takes them to a field where Joe has arranged a surprise joint stag and hen do. And in spoiler number 4, this is where things get seriously tense. The group prepare for a clay pigeon shoot, but Dawn and Billy start to fear that their plan has been discovered. Dawn steps up to take her turn with the shotgun, but instead she points it in Joe's direction. Billy watches on in horror as he starts to wonder exactly what Dawn might be capable of. Meanwhile, in spoiler number 5, Ruby and Caleb's plan to bring down Jimmy steps up a gear. Jimmy and Nicola desperately need to secure a new haulage deal, with the B&B already in financial trouble. But Ruby has other ideas. After arranging for one of Jimmy's shipments to be robbed, she ropes Kev into stealing a van for the heist, and their plan works. However, in spoiler number 6, there's another problem for Ruby. She reveals to Kev that she has video footage of him attacking Billy. Panicking, Kev smashes Caleb's laptop in an attempt to destroy the evidence, before drunkenly confessing everything to Billy. Billy is stunned to discover that Ruby and Caleb knew Kev was responsible for attacking him, and Kev has a warning for the scheming couple. If he ends up going back to prison, he's taking them down with him. Unfortunately for Jimmy, in spoiler number 7, Ruby and Caleb's plan still pays off. Jimmy is eventually forced to sell them his haulage business, leaving the pair victorious. And in spoiler number 8, things could be about to get even worse for him. Nicola is delighted when Jimmy agrees that they should renew their wedding vows. What she doesn't realise is that Jimmy is secretly panicking about their unpaid mortgage. So, will he finally tell Nicola just how bad their financial situation has become? And finally, in spoiler number 9, there could be peace on the horizon for two familiar enemies. After all the bad blood between them, Mac and Ross finally agree to call a truce. But this is Emmerdale, so how long is that really going to last? And that's everything you need to know about Emmerdale next week. It's another dramatic week on Coronation Street, as Sarah's nightmare behind bars gets even worse. Idris takes a huge gamble, and a mysterious new arrival brings some heartbreaking news to Weatherfield. So, here's everything you need to know about what's happening on the cobbles next week. In spoiler number 1, Sarah finds herself in serious danger. Todd returns from Thailand to discover a prison visiting order from Sarah. When he goes to see her, Sarah reveals that she ended things with Kit in order to protect his career. But things soon take a worrying turn. Fellow inmate Casey asks Sarah to get Kit to help her son, who's been arrested for armed robbery. Sarah refuses, and Casey responds with a chilling threat. Todd urges Sarah to contact Kit before things get any worse. And in spoiler number 2, Kit is faced with a difficult decision. After Todd alerts him to what's happening, Kit visits Sarah in prison. She asks him to help Casey, but Kit refuses to risk his career by getting involved. And unfortunately for Sarah, that decision has terrifying consequences. Casey's verbal threats escalate into violence, leaving Sarah's prison nightmare worse than ever. In spoiler number 3, Kit is struggling to cope with Harry. Adam persuades Harry to take the lead in his production of Bugsy Malone, leaving Kit feeling like a failure. Things get worse when Harry breaks Jake's headphones after being taunted about Sarah. Glenda tries to contact Kit, but gets no answer. Adam is unimpressed with Kit's parenting and reports back to Sarah, and soon he suggests that Harry should stay with him for the rest of the holidays. But how will Kit react? In spoiler number 4, Lucy's behaviour leaves Sally and Tim worried. Shona arranges a lunch with Sally, hoping Lily and Lucy can make up. Lily gives Lucy a letter to apologise, and the pair bond over their past traumas. But later, Lucy asks Tim to contact Richie. When he refuses, she sees red and refuses to join the family for tea, leaving Sally and Tim wondering what they can possibly do next. In spoiler number 5, Idris takes a massive gamble. Alia tells Idris she wants £50,000 for her share of Speed Dahl, or the deal is off. The problem is, Idris is £15,000 short. Leanne offers him £5,000, but Idris comes up with another idea after learning Ollie is pretty handy at poker. He books out Speed Dahl for a secret poker night and swears Ollie and Lauren to secrecy. And in spoiler number 6, Idris's risky plan could come back to haunt him. Idris stakes Ollie in the poker game, promising him a share of the winnings if he comes out on top. And luckily for Idris, Ollie wins hands down. But while the game is happening, Brody has secretly been knocking back shots at the bar. When Idris discovers what he's been doing, he tells him off. And Brody responds by revealing the truth about the poker night to Leanne, including the fact that Idris used her money to gamble. So, how is she going to react to that? In spoiler number 7, Tim tries to help Lucy. Tim is summoned to visit Richie, who asks him to back up his story that he acted in self-defense. But Tim refuses to lie. Richie lashes out and blames him for what happened. Meanwhile, Lucy is already on edge after meeting her new foster parents, and when Tim accidentally drops a pan, the noise makes her jump out of her skin. He tries to reassure her, but it's clear Lucy is far from okay. In spoiler number 8, there could be a new romance on the cobbles. Will receives his GCSE results and reveals that he's managed a couple of passes, but failed the rest. Ben reassures him that his family are proud of him no matter what. Meanwhile, Adam accompanies Harry to the holiday club, where he meets a woman called Lottie. She reveals that she's new to the area, and her son will soon be starting at Bessie Street Juniors. So, could there be a spark between Adam and Lottie? And finally, in spoiler number 9, there's a mysterious new arrival in Weatherfield. A woman called Celeste arrives looking to arrange a funeral, but Todd is shocked when he discovers the funeral is actually for Celeste herself, because she only has 6 weeks to live. Meanwhile, Glenda takes a fancy to Celeste's driver, Fraser, and asks him out on a date. Todd is annoyed when Glenda criticises him for his selfish behaviour, but then he spots an opportunity to get his revenge when Celeste lets slip that Fraser is gay. And that's everything you need to know about Coronation Street next week. There are some huge decisions being made in Walford next week, as Ravi prepares to propose to Priya, unaware that she's still been sleeping with Max. Elsewhere, pregnant Penny is rushed to hospital after suddenly struggling to breathe, while Denise receives some worrying news about her cancer treatment. So, here are all 9 EastEnders spoilers you need to know for next week. In spoiler number 1, Nicola is forced to confront her demons. It's Kojo's birthday, and Nicola and George make plans to celebrate with drinks in the Vic. But things suddenly take a turn, and a shocking escalation of events forces Nicola to confront her demons. She sits George down for an honest and open conversation. But what exactly does Nicola have to tell him? In spoiler number 2, Craig is suspended from duty. Amy is already in turmoil over recent events, and privately panics about what she's done. Meanwhile, there's bad news waiting for Craig at the police station. Following a complaint made against him, Craig is suspended from public duty policing. And that's not all. His boss also reveals that he's being taken off the Joel case. In spoiler number 3, Ravi decides to fight for Priya. Avani attempts to play matchmaker and bring Ravi and Priya back together. Meanwhile, Ravi turns to Zach for some relationship advice. Zach tells him that he needs to show Priya just how much he loves her. So Ravi decides to make the grandest gesture of all. He's going to ask Priya to marry him. In spoiler number 4, Craig and Amy grow closer. Vicky gives Amy both barrels after hearing her having a go at Joel. Feeling overwhelmed, Amy meets up with Craig, who promises that he'll be there for her, and Amy accepts his support. Ross, however, isn't happy when Craig reveals that he's been taken off the case. But there could finally be a breakthrough for Joel and his family. Ross invites him to join him and Vicky for a movie night, suggesting the family might finally be starting to heal. In spoiler number 5, Max has a very close call. Max is still fighting his feelings for Linda, but that doesn't stop him from jumping into bed with Priya again. The next morning, Max panics when he wakes up to a string of missed calls from Cindy. He quickly feeds his fiancée a lie, and Cindy falls for it. But Priya is left feeling terrible when Cindy then asks for her help with the hen party. In spoiler number 6, Ravi proposes to Priya. Priya is already struggling with her guilt when Ravi summons her to the boxing den. And once she gets there, Ravi stuns her by asking her to marry him. With her head in a spin, Priya rushes straight to Max's flat, and she tells him their affair is over. So, is this really the end for Max and Priya? In spoiler number 7, pregnant Penny is rushed to hospital. It's the grand opening of Penny's shop, but Vinny is concerned when he notices that her leg is swollen. Penny ignores his pleas to see a doctor, but disaster strikes when she falls out of her wheelchair. Suki comes to her rescue and tells Penny to put her pride aside and accept Vinny's help. Then, just moments later, Penny starts struggling for breath. She's rushed to hospital, leaving everyone fearing for both Penny and her unborn baby. In spoiler number 8, Denise and Jack receive some worrying news. Kim heads to the hospital, hoping to celebrate her hen party with Denise, but it quickly becomes clear that a frail Denise isn't up to it. So Kim heads home and joins Cindy's party instead. Later, Denise and Jack learn that her chemotherapy isn't working as well as the doctors had hoped. Denise is told that she'll now need a stem cell transplant to carry on fighting the disease. And finally, in spoiler number 9, Lily and Joel put the past behind them. Lily is gutted when she receives a disappointing set of GCSE results, but her spirits are lifted when she has a heart-to-heart with Joel. After everything that's happened between them, the pair decide to put the past behind them, and they agree to be mates. And that's everything you need to know about EastEnders next week.